What's up, guys? So I was watching the new season of Barry the other day, and I noticed something interesting that I hadn't noticed before. I couldn't quite put my finger on it, but I started noticing it in their dialogue scenes that they were doing. And then this scene happened. And then this one. And that's when I realized, you know what Barry reminds me of? That was my favorite intro to a video so far. Let's talk about this then, because I feel like a lot of what makes Barry special stems from what makes Wes Anderson films special. And I'm sure you're thinking, how are these things the same at all? Let me explain. Now, even if you've only ever vaguely heard of Wes Anderson, I'm almost certain that you can identify his films very easily. The center framing, the quirky aesthetic, the imperfect camera movement, the awareness that there's a camera in a scene. And that's where you start to notice the similarities between Wes Anderson and Bill Hader's directing styles. So look at this as an example. Look at how Hader frames NoHo Hank in this scene. He actually does this a lot with NoHo Hank, and oddly enough, his character actually feels like a Wes Anderson character the most. Now look at these action scenes from Barry. They seem kind of off, right? The way that they're shot are not how we would expect a traditional scene to be done. There's like this awareness, right? That there's a camera in every scene. And a lot of filmmakers try to avoid that. But on Barry, they embrace it, and it creates this extra layer of comedy, right? What would typically be just a normal conversation between two people all of a sudden has this third kind of hilarious presence in the room. So why do this? Well, if you look at Wes Anderson's work as reference, the reasoning is because it's a way for the director to insert themselves into the film as well. How I kind of read it is like the director wants to be in the room with you, telling you the story, sitting right next to you, telling you what's happening next. And that's a very unique way to tell a story in a film. So for example, Wes Anderson makes this very clear in his chapter breaks, right? His less than perfect dolly shots, his whip pans. There's a constant reminder that the camera is in the room as well. It's kind of a strange thought to have, but there's something about how that really works well in Barry, because knowing that the guy who played Stefan on SNL is telling me a story, sitting right next to me and telling me this story, kind of adds an extra layer of fun that I just really, really love. But then you watch the character Barry on screen and you start to realize, wow, that is not the same Bill Hader from SNL. That is not that silly character. And it's that contrast that is very interesting to me. Because the character of Barry is scary, like haunting. He is not a character you would expect from a TV show that considers itself a comedy. I think that's why it was so hard to identify the similarities to Anderson's work, because the show Barry aesthetically couldn't be more different to his. Its color palette leans more towards realism, and it doesn't lean into the quirkiness nearly as much as something like the Grand Budapest Hotel does. The show has some real moments. Like some real, ultra real moments. But then again, it always seems that when something is getting too real in Barry, it's immediately followed by the most hyper absurd comedic relief you can imagine. Knowing that, then we can start talking about how that supports the story as well. What does it mean for Barry the character? Someone who attempts to suppress his trauma by covering it up with acting or a girlfriend? What does it mean for a character who needs people to be real with him to heal, but the world around him doesn't want to be real with him? He's surrounded by actors in LA. But here's the important one. What does it mean to have a broken man be stuck in a world created by a former SNL cast member?
Is that Mick Jagger? No, it's a fat kid on a slip and slide.
These are all dots most audiences would never connect, right? But that's why I love storytelling, especially storytelling in film, because it's a language that we all subconsciously understand, but we might not all fully comprehend. The next time you write a script or shoot a film, think about this. What will it mean if I insert myself in the story? What will it mean to the audience if I'm right there with them? What will it mean to the characters in the story if I'm there with them? How will they be affected by living in a hyper-specific world? To me, this is an incredibly helpful tool to add to my filmmaking belt, and I challenge you. The next time you're about to hit record on a short film or something that you're working on, think to yourself, what will it mean to have this camera be a character in this film? Something fun to think about. If you guys like this video, I have another one that talks about The Last of Us and how it was a very good video game adaptation, but you know, it wasn't the hardest video game adaptation to do. So if you're interested in hearing more about that, go click on that video. Please, 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 thumbs up it, subscribe, comment, all that fun stuff. Really helps the channel a lot, guys, and I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. That's all I have for this one, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you on the next one.